Daniel Kostick presents Premiership Elections in Albertan History. This election took place on June 17th, 1963, and was the 15th election in the province's history. Premier Ernest Manning and Social Credit were still riding high on the overwhelming support across the province. The government's policies on reinvesting oil royalties into education and healthcare were very popular, and a lack of any real opposition allowed the government to operate as it pleased. In 1960, the University of Calgary, or U of C, saw the start of its eventual founding, with the first permanent facilities opening late that year. Another school that would be opened is the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, or NAIT, which opened in 1963.
We want to see the development of the sands just as quickly as it's in the interest of the people of Alberta to have that development. We don't want to prejudice or jeopardize their interest by being premature and bringing on some of these other disabilities.
Grant MacEwen remained as leader of the Liberal Party despite losing his seat, but resigned in 1962 to launch a successful campaign for mayor of Calgary. In the following leadership race, only two candidates would run: Dave Hunter, mayor of Athabasca, and Bryce Stringham, former MLA for Bow Valley Empress. Hunter would win out in what was reported as a decisive victory, but no vote totals were released. After losing his seat in 1959, Cam Kirby resigned as leader of the Progressive Conservatives to be appointed to the Alberta Supreme Court. He was replaced by Ernest Watkins, MLA for Calgary-Glenmore, and the only PC to survive the previous election in an interim capacity. The party would have another leadership race in 1962, and two candidates would stand out. There was Watkins, trying to become permanent leader, and Milt Herodance, former City of Calgary alderman and Air Force veteran. Watkins would be handily eliminated on the first ballot, and Herodance would go on to defeat the third candidate in the race by less than 20 votes. After being shut out of the legislature for the first time since 1942, the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation was looking to make changes. That change would come when the federal CCF would merge with the Canadian Labour Congress, a collection of social unions with past ties to the Labour Progressive Party, in 1961 becoming the New Democratic Party. As the provincial wing of the federal party, the provincial CCF followed suit the following year in 1962, and the following leadership race saw Neil Reimer, Canadian director of the Oil Workers International Union, win out over Ivor Dent, school vice principal and future NDP party president. Former CCF leader Floyd Johnson would also run, but he would withdraw before voting began. The Coalition Party would continue in its goal to keep Francis Leo Frank Pop Gaynor in office. Frank Pop was the party's only candidate in this election, and his local popularity continued to be a boon to the party's efforts. During the campaign, Social Credit ran on the slogan 63 in 63. This was derived from the overall dominance of the party and popularity of Manning, and party supporters believed that a sweep of the legislature was a high possibility. The closest the province ever came to a sweep prior to 1963 was in 1905, when the Liberals would come 67 votes shy of winning all 25 seats. Herodance would make headlines as he would fly his personal P-51 Mustang across the province while campaigning. In an effort to separate themselves from the PCs, the Liberals made their main platform surrounding the creation of a publicly owned electrical power company. While this platform achieved its initial goal and took some support from the NDP, it was a very divisive policy within the party, with a number of candidates distancing themselves from it. This policy would also come 15 years after a referendum on the same issue, where a slim majority voted in favor of keeping power companies privately owned. And here are the results. Ernest Manning won, securing 60 out of a possible 63 seats and 54.8% of the popular vote, down one seat and 0.9% since 1959. Next came Dave Hunter, whose Liberals won 2 seats and 19.8% of the popular vote, up one seat and 5.9% since 1959. Next came Frank Pop, whose Coalition Party won 1 seat and 0.54% of the popular vote, even in seats and down 0.01% since 1959. Next came Milt Herodance, whose PCs won 0 seats and 12.71% of the popular vote, down 1 seat and 11.17% since 1959. Finally came Neil Reimer, whose NDP won 0 seats and 9.45% of the popular vote, even in seats and up 5.12% compared to the CCF's result in 1959. While Social Credit did not achieve the sweep of the legislature, it managed to secure its highest percentage of seats held, with 95% of seats going for Social Credit. Similar to 1959, 1859, all party leaders lost their seats with the exception of Manning and Gaynor. All leaders would place second in their respective ridings, with Hunter in Athabasca, Paradance in Calgary West, and Reimer in Edmonton Northeast. While the NDP would end the continual decline of the CCF, it would not see any members elected, with only 2 candidates placing second and the majority of the rest finishing in last place. The PCs would be shut out of the legislature for the first time since 1948, when the party did not officially exist. This would be the height of Social Credit's popularity, as the party would enter into a state of general decline. I'll see you in the next one.